was 16 years old in the first day of class, sophomore year. I blacked out for over 3 minutes, and most of after my seizure, I don't recall. When I was seizing, none of my classmates understood what was happening. In fact, they saw my jerky movements of my arms swaying crazily in the air, and they thought I was dancing, so that didn't help. It was only until I collapsed on the floor that my teacher and my classmates knew that something was terribly wrong. What was wrong, you're probably thinking? Well, I have a common brain condition called epilepsy. Around 50 million people worldwide have epilepsy, according to the statistics run by the World Health Organization in 2024. This makes epilepsy one of the most common neurological diseases worldwide. And yet, most people don't know what epilepsy is or how to help someone when they're having a seizure. Today, we will be covering the many facets of epilepsy, what the everyday lives of people with this disorder looks like, and why we should spread awareness. According to the American Association of Neurological Surgeons, epilepsy is defined as a disorder of the brain characterized by repeated seizures. In epilepsy, the brain's electrical rhythms tend to become imbalanced. This may briefly affect a person's consciousness, movements, or sensations. So, what is a seizure? And does epilepsy look the same for everyone? According to the Mayo Clinic, epilepsy looks different for each individual person who has it. Some people may lose awareness during a seizure, while others don't. Some people stare blankly for a few seconds, while others may repeatedly twitch their arms or legs, and these twitches are called convulsions. What seems to cause epilepsy is hard to pinpoint. According to the Epilepsy Foundation, epileptic seizures may be tied to a brain injury or genetics, but for 70% of patients, the cause is unknown. The Epilepsy Therapy Project notes that 10% of people will have seizures in their lifetime. 10% of the population, that's like a huge amount. So finding a cure and the cause is more important than ever. Diagnosing the origin of a seizure is a huge challenge. According to the Johns Hopkins Medicine, an accurate diagnosis depends on taking a careful medical history and using brain imaging. I went too fast. Did I? I'm so sorry. Oh my God. To see abnormal patterns of electrical activity in the brain. I lied. There are many forms of treatment for epileptic patients, such as diet therapy, surgery, and anti-epileptic medications, according to the American Association of Neurological Surgeons. Medication treats the symptoms of epilepsy, so the seizures, rather than the underlying condition. These medications are highly effective and completely control seizures in almost 70% of patients. After my initial seizure, I had several tests run on me to decipher what the cause of the seizure was. Tests were done such as MRIs, CT scans, and an EEG. They're not fun. For the MRI, I don't know if anyone here has done an MRI, but yeah, you're placed in like this really tiny container, and you have to stay there for up to, I don't even know, an hour maybe? God. And then for the EEG, you stick these really sticky little electrodes on your head, and yeah. In the EEG test, electrodes were attached to my scalp, and my neurologist essentially tried to trigger a seizure in me by flickering strobe lights in front of my eyes. The electrical activity in my brain was recorded through this process, and the results were conclusive. I have epilepsy. You've heard part of my story. Now let's hear a testimonial of someone who has this disease. This is Tori Thompson, and she was diagnosed with epilepsy in 2013. Her seizures are caused by a cyst in her frontal lobe. Tori shares her experience living with this disease with the organization Cure Epilepsy. She goes on to say, "There are no words to describe how your body feels after you have a grand mal seizure. I often found myself randomly in tears because all the information is just too much to take in." But Tori's story does not end there. She shares with us her miraculous recovery. "My neurologist decided to do a 24-hour EEG with video monitoring. She decided it would be smart to medicate and keep my seizures under control. Now I take Keppra. You can also take a bipolar medication to treat epilepsy twice a day. Fast forward to 2016, I hit my 1-year seizure-free milestone, and I couldn't be happier." Words from Tori. Tori and many others like her have found relief from epilepsy due to increased research and awareness. But why even bother spreading awareness? Why is it important? With increased awareness comes more push for research to find a cure for the millions of people suffering, and helps in reducing the stigma associated with seizures and living with this condition. Now that you know a little bit more about what epilepsy is, if you ever meet someone with this condition or witness a seizure, you now have the awareness to help you respond calmly and offer the support they need. Having a disability does not define you. As Robert M. Hensel said, "Know me for my abilities, not my disability."